Jeez.
It's hopefully won't be alive.
Hello.
Hi.
We are live. Okay. There we go. Thanks, guys. Glad to have you back. Welcome to Shade of the Evening and our book club discussion of The Hedge Knight. And we're going to be finishing the story tonight. So lots of good stuff coming. And we left off, I'll just say this real quick, last week with Dunk in his cell with Egg. He was eating, but then he hears that the prince wants to talk to him, and I'm not going to keep another prince waiting, so here we go. And if anybody else wants to throw anything in, be like, oh, y'all need to introduce yourselves.
I'll do that. All right. Hi, I'm Lori,
Okay.
aka I'm Lori, Steel 510 Rain in the chats. You see me in the fandom. I am Steel 510 Rain on Twitter as well. I'm excited I'm really excited for this episode. So thanks for having me again, Carrie.
Me too. Always, always, always.
All right. And I am Moni G. And yeah, I have a YouTube channel, but I don't. This is my content right here on Shade of the Evening. So yeah, this is our episode 3 of The Hedge Knight. I'm so excited. This is the big climactic ending.
Yeah,
Woo!
the big ending.
So
we
awesome.
Carrie went over where we left off. And so we pick up where Dunk is now going to see Baylor.
Yes.
Out of the cell to Baylor. And basically, we're going to take it. Yeah, that whole scene, if you have the Night of the Seven Kingdoms book, it's pages 81 to about 85. It's about the first 5 pages from where we said we're starting.
And I moved my bookmark, so now I got to find them.
Yeah, I got my bookmark too.
Took it out to look back because we were talking about our favorite quotes from the book. So if y'all want to throw yours in there.
Well, we have.
Let's see. Go ahead, Lori.
Sorry, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Well, I was gonna say just like in the big AU in the big part of like my notes in the beginning, I talk about the political aspects of this part of the story and the common people and the fact that the Targaryens are having to show prowess and show their might in other ways because they don't have dragons anymore. And that's one of the reasons that Aerion, totally flips out, thinks that the puppeteers, that it's intentional propaganda and all that kind of stuff to bring down the throne. And one of the reasons he goes crazy. So now, the Targaryens are going to have to defend themselves. But we are seeing a lot of not infighting, but just them not getting along very well. Most of the Targaryens anyway. So we have some good ones. And
and I think I have a picture to show you.
And we start off with Baylor talking to Duncan, and he wants to make sure that Duncan is a good night. He has Egg in there too, and has Egg pour him a cup of wine. Laurie, you mentioned something about wine and how many times it is.
Yeah, so I'd rather wait till the end to kind of bring that up, though.
Sure thing.
Because I have a couple others. Yeah, there's something else I want to connect it to at the end. Sorry for the interruption before my son just walked up, and you know how little kids are.
Happy birthday.
Thanks.
So he's chilling with Duncan, and
happy birthday,
if Duncan is a good night, because he has a feeling that this is going to turn into a trial by combat. If it's not, then he's a judge, Maker's a judge.
Maybe it would even, Baylor was thinking it was in Dunk's interest to do a trial by combat if he if he could win it, But then it kind of seems like, oh, not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, the boy's been
Like,
known to
oh,
lie.
he's like, well, I'm okay.
Yeah. Wait, I pulled up through. Wait a minute, I'm trying to pull up
I'm
Miss
okay at
Duncan.
fighting, but I like a super knight.
It's this
So
internet's lagging. I
yeah,
apologize, you guys. The boy has been known to lie. Makes me wonder what little Egg has done to earn his reputation. Well,
We've talked about that. We were just talking earlier how in 118 pages in the book, we have just how many little liars and lies there are in general in this entire story. There's a lot of lies and liars. Makes for good stories if you like the unreliable narrator kind of points of view and all that stuff.
yeah, that's true. And
And
all the trope flips that George R.R. Martin, this is it's a pretty, you come off reading it, starting off thinking that it's going to be a pretty basic story because it doesn't have the magic and it doesn't have a lot of the layers. You think that A Song of Ice and Fire, that those stories do, and then the further you get through it, the more we read through it and then go back and think, oh, and just finding. So we may do a little video about like Easter eggs and stuff that we have noticed during the reading of this first story anyway.
so yeah, if we don't elaborate too much on these little Easter eggs, we plan on deep diving later.
Yeah, Miss Duncan, that's one of my favorite lines. What Baylor says to Duncan when he tries to take up for Egg, and he's a good boy and all that kind of stuff. But he lied, and going to Duncan to save the puppeteers was not a good move on his part, and it has landed Dunk in a shit ton of trouble. So he's the one that's going to have to face it. And even Baylor says, I might have done the same thing if you're in your place, but I'm a prince of the realm, not a hedge knight. So we have that whole dichotomy or whatever going on of these people, the royals, the lords, the knights that all think that they're so much better than this guy. And so Egg comes around hating Arion, which can you blame him? But the prince, this was part of the religious stuff we were talking about. The Septons say we must love our brothers. This is when he starts talking to him about how good a knight are you truly, how skilled at arms. And Duncan says he's been taught sword and shield and how to tilt at rings and quintains. And Baylor is troubled because Maker has returned to the castle, has found his heir drunk, Daron, in an inn. He would never admit as much, but I believe it was his secret hope that his sons might outshine mine in this tourney, but instead they have both shamed him. What is he to do? They are blood of his blood. Maker is angry and must needs have a target for his wrath, and he has chosen you. And Don's like, me? Yeah, you.
I think that whole paragraph is I think that paragraph is gonna we're gonna tie back to that in future books, like when we start thinking about putting pins and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
Like, why did Maker go? Why was Maker gone? The Kingsguard were already looking for his two kids. You know what I mean? On their way from Summerhall to Ashford. They said as much in the beginning.
Yep.
So why did Maker decide to go? And then maybe Baylor's wrong. I know that there's like conspiracy theories that Baylor was meant to die in this tourney. You know what I mean? So just kind of one of those like,
you talking about like the Blood Raven?
Maybe Dunk isn't the one he wants to take his anger out on. Maybe he wants his sons to outshine Baylor in different ways. I don't know.
Yes. I totally agree with that. Yes. Veiled attack on House Targaryen and incitement to revolt. Maker's going to agree with that. He has a prickly nature, and then goes on to what you were just talking about, placed his best hopes on Arion since Daron has been such a grave disappointment to him. But there's one truth beyond dispute. You lay hands upon the blood of the dragon. For that offense, you must be tried, judged, and punished. And Dunk was like, punished? Oh, what? Punished? And that's when we get into, that's when, you know, it'll be, if it is a trial, it will be Baelor, Maker, Lord Ashford, and Highgarden. Oh my gosh, Terrell. I was gonna say Tully before. And Baelor says his words hold weight because of who he is, next in line, hand of the king, but Maker's do also. So this is some of the Targaryen inside, you know, one up each other.
He already asked him to pour his wine. Is this the part? Did he ask him to pour his wine for him?
That was a little bit.
Oh no, that was already at the very beginning. So yeah, one of the little cute things I caught at the beginning was like, Baelor was like, "Go get the wine, Egg, but don't spill the wine." Duncan's like, "He won't spill the wine," and then Egg comes up. He carried the goblet over brimming with wine and didn't spill it. Just little like, he read a haiku about it.
Right.
Don't spill it. He won't, and he didn't.
And Dunk jumps right in to say, "Wait, no, he's a good boy. Like it's okay. He can still do it because, like, you know."
And he was a good boy.
Like it was really sweet because he's like he's good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was cool. And you know what? Before we go too far in, can we say hi to everybody in the chat?
Yeah.
Because I don't know how easy it is to scroll back up. So hello to OTDA, Mrs. Duncan the Tall, and Apparently Human. Thank you for coming. And of course to my lovely hostesses, Lori and Carrie, and Fearless Mermaid. Thank you for coming. And I believe AU Pack Mule was in here also, and Robbie Wartburg.
Oh, you're breaking up a little.
Oh, and thank you for coming. I don't know if you're getting the questions for me.
I don't know if she said Miss Duncan
my
the Tall.
Skype on, so just FYI.
And David Adams. And hey, Stay. I'm not sure
welcome.
how you pronounce your name.
I'm sorry. Jump before I forgot that later.
Hey, dog.
So, hello. Welcome.
Yes, we can hear you now.
And thank you guys. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Who? Me? Oh, was I silent?
Shout out.
Sorry.
Well, you were doing the chat shout out, and then you kind of started breaking up. So.
Oh dear, I'm so sorry. Oh bother.
You seem better now.
So if I missed you, I tried to say hello to everybody. Okay.
So yes, hello everybody. Thank you for coming.
Your fingers crossed, right?
And Moni, so what did you have to say about that scene?
I'm sorry.
Oh, what?
Thought it was like me personally, I just thought it was awesome that he said he was a good boy. And then we get to the part where then he checks out. I don't know, did you guys have anything else? That was, I think, all that I had in here. Then they start breaking down.
I'm good on this one. Mrs. Duncan the Tall, the quote we have up there from her, Baelor tells Egg, Arion is your brother. The Septon says you must love them. That mirrors his feelings for Maekar and growing up with the Black Dragon and his, oh, you ruined, you took it away, and his something. I missed the rest of it. But that was a really good point. I didn't even think about that, how him telling Egg how he should love his brother as you're supposed to, how that is probably something he feels about his own brothers. I didn't even think about that.
Exactly.
I didn't catch the end of that. Sorry, Mrs. Duncan. But I think that's what you meant. If not, you can just add more in the chat.
Yes, definitely. So the last time a man was found guilty of striking somebody with royal blood, it was decreed that he should lose the offending hand. And Dunk is like, my hand. And then he mentions, don't forget about your foot, because you kicked him too, didn't you? And Dunk can't speak.
Yeah.
And you know, he's like not even trying to take up for himself. He's such a great protagonist. He's trying to take up for the puppeteers and that their show wasn't meant to be any harm.
Protecting the innocent.
Yeah, there you go. And wasn't intended to be a threat against the Targaryens or anything like that. But yeah, showing one with a dragon with his head getting cut off and all of the sawdust spilling out would definitely send someone that has the super Targaryen pride and a way, like, what's the term? Something to prove, I guess. That's not going to ring well with them. And then he says he thinks to himself he's never been any good with words, but I wrote down, yeah, but he's good with his actions. So, and actions speak louder than words. And then that's when Baylor throws in the other choice. Could be better or worse, but you have the right to demand a trial by combat.
Right. And then the last line in this scene, and with dawn comes death.
Yeah, that was that. Yeah,
it's
that
like just such an opposite kind of vibe as we always get, like coming off of A World of Ice and Fire, how we're always thinking winter is death and night, the long night, and like all this imagery and like symbolism regarding the long night and winter and death and everything. And then this is just the flip, and with dawn comes death, lowercase d.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so next scene.
Made a great. It's funny how defensive the Targaryens are. Those Blackfire threats are still pretty fresh.
Yeah.
And so that is a great point.
So the next scene is where Dunk gets his. He gets his. Where am I in the right spot? Yeah. Dunk gets his sword and silver back, and Ponder's fleeing but doesn't. He recognizes Thunder's snort. He's with the Fossaways. And this is where Stefan says he'll fight for him and find 5 more. Egg and Darian pop in, and that's this scene. So there's a little bit to unpack in this one too.
We'll do that. Put a pin in it.
There you go. More.
Well, we missed the little part. How?
Oh, the trial.
I was going to say, what about? I have all the
a trial
in the ear.
I will next time I see you. And hold on. They are the most insecure group. Yeah, they are. They don't have their dragons behind them anymore. So and they've had some pretty crazy rulers and
have to pull it.
Like, yeah, but what I was gonna get to was the trial of 7. That's what Prince Aerion wants to have happen. And when I'm thinking trial of 7, all I can think of was trial by 7 from the show. So I'm thinking trial by. I don't know if there's a difference in the wording or if it's named the same, because of course they haven't gotten that far in the books yet. Have they? Was Sir Loris's trial? Or no, they're still locked up. Okay.
Yeah. And, we don't know. This is right. Go ahead. Sorry, Kara.
No, I was just going to say, Maker, they're all sitting at a table. I was looking at the graphic novel, so it gave me a good, view of it and image in my head. And you have Lord Ashford and the other guys and Maker and Baylor, and they're all sitting at a table. And Maker wants to know why the hell Aerion wants to have this trial by 7. Are you afraid of facing this hedge knight alone? And Aerion's like, no, I'm not afraid. Don't be crazy. My thought is for my beloved brother, Daron, who has been wronged by Sir Duncan as well and has first claim to his blood. A trial of 7 allows both of us to face him. And Daron says, do me no favors, brother. Like, he really does not want to.
He's just calling out, like, whatever.
He just wants his wine. He just wants his wine. Really. That's
like,
it.
Can I just drink myself into a stupor till this is over, please? I don't want to get in trouble. I just want to go drinking.
Yeah.
Yes. Because
and he totally is so afraid.
Yeah. Did we?
I think that's guys because his brother calls him out and says, you know what, don't do me any favors. He's like, oh well, I want to do this for it, but it's just like dad or no say, what are you afraid to? No, his dad, his own father says, what are you afraid to face him? One, I'm just like, oh no, it's for my brother too. But it's so because he's afraid. I think personally,
Oh, and we did leave out
maybe
the
not.
part.
Maybe he just truly just
of Arion, or Daron's excuse for not knowing where Egg was that a robber knight made off with him, and he spent all his days pursuing him to win back his brother. And my whole thing about that bullshit lie is like, if Duncan steals Aegon from him, like, why would he show up here
at Ashford with him? Yeah.
Yeah, like that's, and so anyway.
But yeah, on that note too, we were talking about the politics of it all, right? And there's no dragons. Targs have no dragons. So this trial by 7 is a great way for Targaryens to keep their names in history in this like huge way. Like, oh, there's no dragons. There's just this king to that king, but it's more like,
I think that's why they're competing in the tourney in the first place.
I think it's like a move towards fame and everything too, because like Maekar's sons, and right now they're not thinking they're going to be kings ever, right? They're still like way far down in the line to ever be king. So it's there, Arion is Arion, and he's like, probably 7, like my name will go down in history, and not just as like the second son or whatever number he is of a 4th son of a king, or like it's gonna like make him more famous in history or in current times, whatever it is in his mind. I think that there's that motivation as well.
Definitely. And this trial of 7 is ancient, seldom invoked. Came across with the Narrow Sea with the Andals and their 7 gods. And so yeah, they're 7. And I talked about that with you guys earlier about the Targaryens and the faith of the 7 getting along, but it's a rocky, like walking on eggshells kind of situation with them, because the faith doesn't approve of the intermarrying of brothers and sisters and all that kind of stuff. Let's see what AU said. Most training yards would teach you how to attach, defend taller knights. I got you. Attack or defend taller knights. Well, most men would have been pretty short back then, I would think, or average height. So he's not as big as the mountain, or how he's described.
This is really sweet too, how then Dunk's like, gulp, I gotta fight 7 guys, me against 7 people. And then Aaron's like, no, like, quit trying to play the fool. It's 7 versus 7. So then he's like, I don't even know what that means. So basically it's on my side and 7 guys on your side, and we fight to the death, and the gods decide who's standing is the one who is right. Or unless each one of them, if they call and say, okay, I give out of the 2. I mean, it has to be Dunk and Aaron, right?
And Daron, but he's going to go ahead and we're coming to that later. But yeah, it would have to be Arion and Daron withdrawing their accusation.
Or dying.
Right.
Or dying. Yes.
Or dying, right. Yes. And then the rest of them. So
and then Dunk either
that's when it
ends,
so
yielding or dying, right?
Right. So it's been 100 years since they've done this. And that's crazy. So of course most people have only heard of this in legend.
And Laura, so you had heard when the last one was.
I think it was Maegor the Cruel.
Okay.
Maegor won. Maegor the Cruel did it.
Yeah.
And I think everybody excuse me, I think everybody died but him. I'm not 100%. If someone in the chat knows, they can correct me. I'm pretty sure everybody died except for him. And what's funny too is I think it was Arion too, named his son Maegor.
Yeah, he sure did.
It's just continuous.
And I love make her throw it when Dunk says, "Oh, I gotta fight 7 guys," and and don't play the fool. And he's like, I might as well find, 6,000 guys. But when he says that, he says, if you can't find any other men to fight beside you, it's because you're guilty. So
that's another thing too. Yeah. So Dunk's like,
decision in the hands
I
of the
don't know
gods.
anybody. Yeah,
And you're right, Miss Duncan. This is one of the last batch of Targaryen warriors that we get. You're absolutely right about that.
Which made so fun to read.
Yes. So they gave. Did I miss anything? 6 nights. Okay. Then he's leaving, and he says, "Okay." So now he's leaving Ashford Castle, and you said with the dawn comes the death. They gave him back his sword and his silver. And he, wonders if they expect him to like jump on his horse and run away. And, that's an option, but one day he's going to get caught and he's going to get beheaded or, whatever's going as whatever his punishment will be, whether it's losing a body part like a hand or a foot or his entire head.
And the other thing is too, if he runs away, he's 7 foot tall. People, he can't really run away. He would always be caught.
Like you said, they even noticed him in the crowd because he's just so tall.
Be the first to step up. Love, love, love. You're exactly right. Because I wrote something down about him when he's trying to get people on his side, and he's like, "Are there no true knights among you?" And I'm thinking like Braveheart or something, picturing him riding back and forth. But he says to himself, better to die a knight than live like that, which would basically be an outlaw. So he's sticking around. Death by snoo. I'm not sure what snoo is. Dog. Might have to explain that to me better. And then we get into the Fossaways.
Definitely.
I don't know if anybody, Moni, if you want to take that part.
Well, for that part, so he walks around the corner and he notices his horses. He hears his horse snort. I think Lori started on that, and he's like, "Whoa!" And then he looks over, and his horses are over by the Fossaway tent, which I call the apples because I can't remember Fossaway. So the big apple is Stephen, and the little apple is Raymond. So that's easier for me to remember. And the ripe one at this point says, basically, I'll help you out. So I said, thank God for the apples, because he said, because Dunk's like, I've lost. I don't have knights that'll fight for me. I don't have 6 friends. I couldn't even get somebody to step up for me to have me fight in this tournament, let alone, so then the big apple says, well, I'll go find some knights that are true, because that's his whole point, right?
That he starts name dropping.
There's got to be other knights that are behind his cause, because what he, people saw it, the whole commotion at the puppet show where he broke her finger. They saw what happened, but just because he was a prince, nobody stepped up. But Dunk was protecting the innocent, so there should be knights that'll fight for him. So
it's a great one, Duncan. We left that out. Yes, that's really sad.
Yeah, Dunk would be great for the Night's Watch, wouldn't he? Passing thought.
Maybe.
With the Fossaways too, Raymond's like, oh God, that means lances of war, morning stars, battle axes, and nothing's going to be blunted. And his cousin Sir Stefan, the big apple, or he calls him reluctant and says, you need not fear. This is a knightly combat, and as you know, knight, your skin is not at risk. And he tells Sir Duncan, you have one Fossaway at least, the ripe one. I saw what Arian did to those puppeteers, and I'm for you. And I started thinking back on it that when they do go running up to the puppeteers, and Sir Stefan does have his sword drawn, there's no telling what side he's about to take during that. Like, just because Raymond runs after Duncan and he does too, the way I'm reading Sir Stefan and his line about finding other people, and that they're going to be mad if he wakes them up. And he says, excellent, if they are angry, they'll fight all the more fiercely. You may rely on me, Sir Duncan. And I just get a bad vibe from that. Like, I just don't think he's out.
Yeah, he seems like someone who's just trying to inject himself in the drama and inject himself into the action, and that's just what I get out of him at this point, by this point.
Yeah, that is adorable that he recognizes.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things.
Yeah. Stefan Fosway turd. Yeah. Miss Duncan had something.
Yeah, and then as soon as Stefan goes away to wake up these knights he's such good friends with, Raymond's like, yeah, he doesn't really know them. Like,
yeah,
he knows who they are, but I doubt they know who he is. Like, I'll help you. I mean, if he can get some people, great. And if he can't, like, at least we'll have too many than too little.
Yes. And then we have a visitor come, and it is Egg, and Dunk gets to his feet because Egg is there. He's surprised, and he's like, I'm your squire. You'll need someone to arm you. And, oh God, does your father know you've left the castle again? And then Darren steps in and says, Gods, I hope not.
Yeah.
The poor guy. Because he is Moni. I'm not sure if it was you or Lori saying it, that he's a very witty guy.
Yeah, he's witty. He's a witty sloth. Is what I was saying. He's like as witty as he is sloth. Like, he's just like, don't make me adult. You know, no adulting today, please. Every day. But he's funny. I like his lines.
Yeah, he is. Oh no, they are great. And Dunk's mad, and
I won't judge anybody for not adulting.
No, he's about ready. He would kill Darren if it wouldn't get him in more trouble. I have a feeling. And Darren's like, oh God, my hands are shaking, from the withdrawal from alcohols, and he's like, I don't give a shit about your hands, like, what are you doing here? And then you lied about me, and I had to say something when Daddy demanded to know where my little brother had gotten to. And if he had been in the bottom of his wine cup, he would have found him. But unfortunately, he wasn't. So,
see, like, that's funny. I mean,
yes,
such an irresponsible, crappy thing to say. But like, it's just like, well, if he was in the bottom, if my little brother, who my dad made me bring to this, I didn't even want to fight in this, who took off, but if he was in the bottom of my cup, I would have known where he was. It was just like, what it is. So, cheers. And nobody in the bottom of mine.
Yeah, and then there's a little bit before it. He doesn't like swords, horses and swords, heavy things and beastly sharp. He'll do his best to look gallant in the first charge. And after that, you could maybe strike me a nice blow that doesn't ring too hard to the head. And, my brothers think they have my measure when it comes to fighting and dancing and thinking, reading books, whatever it is he does. But none of them is half my equal at lying and sensible in the mud. That's going to be what I'm going to put him on a T-shirt.
That is a good one.
All right, that's a good T-shirt.
That is a good
T-shirt.
We're trying to pick our favorite quotes. So anyway.
Yeah. So then he's like, well, then why did you come? Awesome. So Darren, and this is where Darren explains to him the strategy and like says who Ariane already has on their team and on their side. Moni, did you want to go into
that? Here I'm just looking at like my comments real quick, and how well then he says I just think that Darren is, what did I say? Geez, Darren is so pathetic is what I wrote. And too much. I think that was the part where he says, well, perhaps you could strike me a nice blow. Yeah. And that's there's your quote. My brother's a yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody to me
Miss
lying in the
Duncan, we're
mud.
about to
So
get
then
into this conversation.
but before, like, yeah, so he makes a comment, and he kind of has Egg go. Does he dismiss him, or do they go somewhere else? But he tells him because he wants to talk just with Dunk about.
I think Egg heads back to the castle, probably. But Darren does also he wants to tell Duncan that the King's Guard, he wants to warn him about that they're going to be fighting on the accusing side. And
all three that were there.
Yes, Craig Hall, Donald of Duskendale, and Willem Wild. They don't have, they have small choice in the matter. It's their job to guard, protect the royals at all costs. And then we get to the conversation where what Miss Duncan is talking about with the dragon dream.
Oh, but right before that, Egg is like, "Oh, I'll help you get some knights too," and Dunk's like, "But I'll be fighting your own brothers," and he's like, "But you won't hurt Darion. Like he's already gonna just fall down. Like whatever about him." And Arion sucks. And he goes on to say, and this to me ties back into like Egg has been known to lie too. Like maybe he hasn't lied. I'm not, but who knows? But he says, in Arion, I remember when I was little, he used to come into my bedchamber at night and put his knife between my legs. He had too many brothers, he'd say. Maybe one night he'd make me his sister, then he could marry me. He threw my cat in the well too. He says he didn't, but he always lies. You know, you just never, you don't know like who's telling the truth. Like there's a lot of sibling rivalry in life.
I believe that about Arion. I really do.
Right. So maybe going back to what Baylor says, the boy's known to lie. We do know he lied about who he was to Dunk, but like maybe it's little things like this. You know, it's just curious. I mean, we don't really get full answers on if he threw the cat in the well or not here, but I'm just saying it. It lends itself to the like he said, she said of it all, you know.
Definitely.
But then and then it goes into what you were saying. It was just something I noticed. All the liars.
Yes.
Right. So then they figure out amongst themselves that they're still going to be short, and that's when Raymond, the little apple, they go out to find some more people. And that one, Darren talks to him about his dream, because remember way back at the inn when he saw Dunk, he like was taken aback even though he was totally wasted, and he's like, "Oh, I saw you in my dream." Of course, it was all really cryptic, and it still is pretty cryptic. So then this is where he tells Dunk about his dream. I think that Darren is a green seer. I'd love to hear you guys' take on that in the comments. I know green seers, they call the people from the north, and Carrie and Lori kind of were thinking that it was more dragon dreams, which I don't know if that's the same thing as green dreams or not. I have no idea. So green seer dreams. But so then he tells him about dream. And Carrie, do you want to go over? Because you were pretty good with he sees him as that he was a dragon was in the fight, right? Isn't that what the dream is?
Yeah, this whole part, and we're going to get to the fighting too. It's dragon. His dreams are not like anybody else's. My dreams are true. They frighten me. You frighten me. And he dreamed of a dead dragon and Sir Duncan. And this dragon is giant, and its wings are large enough to cover the meadow. And the dragon is lying on top of Sir Duncan. Sir Duncan's alive and the dragon's dead. So that's what Darion has dreamed. And then him talking about it made me think of Danes the Dreamer with the Valerian Freehold, which was 12 years before that happened. The Doom of Valyria, and then Daenerys and Maester Aemon having Targaryen dreams, and I'm sure there are many more that I'm leaving out. Those were just a few that stuck out in my head. That's a good point. Amanda gives me some bad Euron vibes. Wait, there was something that. Wait, where did it go? Oh, Amanda said that the dragon dreams could be a Valyrian version of green
A
sight.
Valyrian. Yeah.
So there you go,
Well,
Moni.
you know, I don't know. I just associated the two together, and it's funny because I guess I never really thought of Danny's dreams being green sight, but this I totally did. So maybe it's me. I guess maybe it is Danny's dreams about the door and stuff. What, Lori?
Oh, I just said maybe because we're on Westeros.
Maybe, yeah. So that just made it seem, yeah. Oh, thank you, friend, for figuring out the.
I'm sorry. I saw that Fearless Mermaid was wondering how old Darren was. I was wondering if I could quickly find it, but I can't quickly do it.
Oh, Jiminy Crickets. That's all of you because the numbers freak me out. So
yeah.
There I have the dream. So well, here it is. My dreams are not like yours, Sir Duncan. Mine they frighten me. You frighten me. You and a dead dragon, you see. A great beast, huge, with wings so large that they could cover this meadow. It had fallen upon you, on top of you, but you were alive and the dragon was dead. Did I kill it? That's what Dunk says, and he said, I can't say. So that was his dream, and he had that dream all the way back before any of the way back at the inn. Remember? He was like, I saw you in my dream.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I love the line.
And he doesn't want to die.
Yeah, there's a lot of dragon dream talk in the chat.
We were the masters of dragons once, we Targaryens. Now they are all gone, but we remain. So there's going back to the Targaryens and even, with the common people and other lords too. But, if the common people rise up enough, they can definitely take down a royal family, a royal line, But he says he doesn't want to die either, like Dunk says. So do me a kindness and make certain it's my brother Arian you slay. And that's when Darren says he'll withdraw his accusation as well as take a dive in the mud. But it won't serve unless Arian withdraws his. And maybe I've killed you with my lie. If so, there's your another lie. I'm sorry. I'm doomed to some hell I know, likely one without wine.
and bless his heart, like he came in with egg in the middle of the night and he totally had the shakes, right? Obviously his dad was like, you drunk, you're not drinking and you're fighting tomorrow. So he's like, oh my God. So he gets in there, he pounds a glass of wine, and then he's talking about, I'm sorry about lying because I would have gotten in trouble with my dad. So I'll probably go to someday. And hell for me will be without wine. So like basically it's just like, please just knock me off my horse and let me lay in the mud and leave me alone. Mm-hmm. And I have to announce what you just posted up there, Carrie. Congratulations. And thank you.
I'm gonna get more nervous.
That's awesome.
I get more nervous.
So anyways.
All right.
So then they leave, right? And he's walking away somewhere because.
Okay, so yeah, that leads into the next scene. Yeah, Dunk goes to look for his shield, but the puppet show is gone.
Oh, she said Dunkle.
Yeah, he comes across Steely Pate, who has the shield. We get the Oak and Iron song rhyme.
Serve me well, or else I'm dead. And
right. So yeah, this scene. So he goes. So it starts off with him going to look for the puppet show, but it's gone, and then Steely Pate shows up. It's about page 90 in the Night of the Seven Kingdoms book.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm in the chat.
A bear of a man. He's hairy without his shirt on. There he is. I
don't know why. I just love him. Steely Pate.
Steely Pate sounds like a bearish man.
Great. Yeah.
Right?
And to be an armor,
awesome.
you gotta a cool be. Guy. Yay, the fox. Sorry, I'm laughing at something Miss Duncan said. Anyway, she might be talking with her friends because I heard her saying she would like move to Mole Town or something. Oh wow, there's my hubby showing up. Nerds. Who are the Targaryens again?
Yes,
Oh my God. He has watched every freaking episode. He's never read the books, but he knows who the frick the Targaryens are.
I don't know. Who are the Targaryens again, Rob? Rob Glenn.
Give me some names, Robert. Give me some names. Anyway, so yeah, he has Duncan's shield. So he looks Dunk up and down.
Got it from the
2 hands, 2 feet. So trial by 7. And he's like, how did you know? Well, they might have kissed you and made you a lord, but didn't seem likely. And if it went the other way, you'd be short some parts. So then they go to his wagon.
Oh man,
that was a great line.
Right.
Puts some clothes on or shirt on. Dunk first asks, where did she go? Talking about Tansel. And her uncle is a wise man, and they've already headed back to Dorne because out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and then the uncle did not think that the girl Tansel ought to see Sir Duncan die. So thanks for the confidence there.
But at least he knows that like she's thinking of him, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, he fixes the rim of his shield, and it'll be heavier now but stronger. The girl did the paint. And then if anybody wants to go and take that with Dunk, Lori, you were talking about it earlier, about how he decides.
Just his feelings and like the inner monologue with this. So so he's starting to feel really worried, and I just in my notes took down that like he thinks his shield is gorgeous, but he's just like starting to be negative and doubtful and gloomy with, I don't know the lines exactly, but he's like, the star is falling, and like, what is that supposed to mean? And like, oh, everything, it's just, why would I choose that? And then Steely Pate comes in with a go, Moni, go.
Yes, Dunk sees the shield and all of a sudden his heart just sinks because he's like, oh my gosh, it's a sunset. Like, oh, that means the sun's going down. So that's a bad omen. And then he says, then he said about, then the star is falling. It's a falling star. So that's a bad omen. Like, and he just starts like totally working himself up. And he's like, I should have stayed with the chalice. Remember how Carrie said the chalice was a symbol of, things overflowing with goodness. So then he's like, no. Like Steely Pate, like being the big bear of a man that he is, and a little bit of sunshine. It's just like, hey, don't worry. Look at the tree alive, and look at the green leaves. There's tons of them. So that means it's summer. So that kind of lifts his spirits, and he feels a little better about it. And then he's like, so he reinforced the edges because it was shit, and he put some steel behind, so it should hold up better in the tourney. And Dunk's just like, oh, okay, well, what do I owe you? And he's like, he looks, but he's like, from you, just a copper. And that's it, because that's it. So he's keeping him honest.
Miss Duncan says it's like the version of like, bro hug, like that's.
It is, that's a good way to put it. Oh, and we totally skipped over the whole little rhyme. Oak and iron, guard me well, or else I'm dead.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wait, say that again, ladies, together.
On 3.
Oak and iron, serve me well.
You ready?
Or what?
Or else I'm dead.
Dead and doomed to hell.
We were bad.
Iron, guard me well.
We can do it separately. Very nicely. Very good. Very good.
So it's morning.
Yep. Then we move on.
Yeah.
And Laurie was describing the tendrils of fog riding along the ground like pale snakes. Dunk makes his way back towards the lists, and Steely Pate's with him. The viewing stand had begun to fill, lords and ladies and hundreds of the small folk, and Dunk thinks so many come to see me die. And a few steps further on, a woman calls out, "Good fortune." A man steps up to take his hand and say, "May the gods give you strength, sir." He gets a kiss on the cheek from, it looks like she's not much. Well, yeah, she looks like a damsel in this book. More so than the lady in the graphic novel. She's a little older. And Dunk's like, "They are for me. Why? What am I to them?" And he is a knight who remembered his vows, which is, one of the main themes. I would say the main theme of this story is a knight who actually remembers his vows and is going to do all the things that he promised to do, no matter what the cost.
And when he first sees it, he's like, "Oh crap, look at all the people. They're just here to see me die." And there's hundreds of people. So like it's even more than, because the day before people had kind of dissipated, but then all this went down. So now, so I have in my side notes, it's like hundreds of people and hooray, they love him. So
yes,
that's all.
Yeah, that's a real confidence booster. It's a real motivator.
So
and they are for him, and they're excited.
Someone has hey Chrissy, someone has armored Dunk's horse, and it has the Crinnet Chamfron and Blanket of Heavy Mail. And I did look up some words. Y'all might know these already, but I love learning about this medieval stuff.
Oh yes, here's our vocabulary.
Different parts. The Crinnet goes, I'm pretty sure that's the one that covers the horse's face. So it'd be the front piece and then whatever goes down the back of its neck. And the Crinnet is segmented plates that are attached together loosely to protect the neck and the breast.
That's like, I picture like the lobster, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it moves easily. It has all the little hinges or whatever move very easily, so they can move up under the horse. And I have one other word, but I'll save that because we haven't gotten to that part yet.
Okay.
So we have everything's, whatever the armor that Dunk's horse has.
And then we get into all the people they've recruited to his side.
You think Baylor got that, or Steely Pate? I'm wondering who got that together for him. I know it's not really like an important detail in the story, but it just makes me wonder.
My immediate thought is the Fossaways or Egg, but I don't know. I didn't really think about it till right now.
Oh, excuse me. I hit my microphone. Okay.
You're fine.
So he gets to the paddock of the challengers and he sees Sir Robin Riesling. I don't know if you say Riesling, I say Riesling. Humphrey Beesbury, which he was amazed at, and Humphrey Harding. And these are all guys that Egg has gotten for him. Hey, LMR. And Granite Person. Hello, guys. Yeah. Thanks so much for coming.
Thanks for coming.
Lost my place. Sorry.
Yeah, and Humphrey Harding was there on his side with a broken leg.
Yeah, and
with the broken leg, he's there.
The two Humphreys are good brothers, so they're related, brother-in-law. And then Robin Riesling, and I love Humphrey Harding because he was awarded Arian's charger after Arian pulled what he did on him.
Oh right, yeah.
The horse through the neck and all of that kind of stuff. So it is a horse. Sorry, I was trying to say horse too much
on purpose.
And yeah, he says his leg's broken. Harding can't walk, but as long as I can sit a horse, I can fight. And Raymond says he hoped Harding would want a chance at Arian, and he did. And what we talked about, the other Humphrey is his brother by marriage. Egg is responsible for Sir Robin. Okay, so Raymond got the two Humphreys, Harding and Beesbury, because he knew him from Egg knew Sir Robin from the other tourneys, and so we have 5 now.
Yeah, and I think Robin, did they give a firm reason why Robin Riesling was willing to do this, or he's just like the general badass of it all?
Well, I
He's
think
just
that
like,
because he is that grizzly old guy with one eye that
the
will
guy
still
with one eye,
fight.
yeah, who like
Will
lost
still
an eye in a
fight.
joust, and then his helm got knocked off earlier
Yes.
in the book, and he was still fighting with one eye and no helmet, and just like has
Yes.
no fear. This guy.
Yes. Yeah, I think it was against the Tyrell, or maybe I think it was Leo Tyrell, and he just like he backs off, like, I'm not gonna come at you again with with my lance, because if it busts, it's gonna hurt you all over again. So Dunk says 6.
Thanks for coming, Elamar.
Himself. Yes, thank you. And good question there. I also think it's Egg. Okay.
So I also
go ahead, Moni.
I also have it's been 100 years. Just in my notes, just 100 years since the last one. We did that. We did touch on that before.
Well, so far we've talked about Robin and the Humphreys, and then we get the Laughing Storm. Do you hear that?
I heard that. I don't know where that's coming from. It's all
right, it's gone now. Sorry.
Yeah,
I was about that. And then we get the Laughing Storm too. Yeah, Dunk thinks it was Stefan who got him because he had name dropped him the night before. But it was Egg who got him. And I love how Lionel Baratheon's talking about how Egg came in just laughing and like happily, just still reminiscent of Robert in Game of Thrones. But he's like, yeah, the little guy came up and tried to run through. My son tried to stop him, but he slid right under his legs and came right up to me and was like, hey, come play with us, come fight.
But that is a jug of wine on his head.
Yes, that dumped the wine on his head. So who was it last week that said? It might have been Gray Area, was just kept saying how Egg reminds her of Arya. Like, that is a perfect line to support that. Yeah. Just like Arya. So
yeah, Miss Duncan, that is that's Humphrey Harding. Sir Duncan's like, thank you, sirs, for fighting on my behalf. My debt, I'm indebted to you, and the debt is Arion, and he's come to collect it. So, and Lionel Baratheon, once that happens with Aegon, he talks about how there's not been a trial of 7 for more than 100 years. I was not about to miss a chance to fight the Kingsguard knights and tweak Prince Maker's nose in the bargain. So I did kind of see Robert in a little bit of foreshadowing for Robert's rebellion coming up. So.
Put a pin in it.
Pin in it.
Like,
so they have 6.
Yeah, I got him.
So they have 6 now with the Laughing Storm, and thinks that he turns to Raymond, and he says hopefully to Raymond that your cousin will bring the last surely. And then we hear this giant roar go up from the crowd, and at the north end of the meadow, here comes all of the accusers, columns of night out of the river, column of knights come trotting out of the river mists. The 3 Kingsguard are first, like ghosts, in their long white cloaks. Even their shields are white. And then you got Prince Maker and his sons, Arion and Daron. And let's see. Maker was the one who made the most fearsome appearance. I love how his gear is described. All of his armor with the dragon teeth going from the top of the helm, all the way across down the crest of the helm and down his back and on his shoulder.
The whole paragraph is written so beautifully.
Do you want me to read it?
They're quoting it already in the chat, so yeah, as well.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I know, because you guys rock in the chat.
Yes, thank you. The King's Guard first came like ghosts, which reminds me now that I say that out, Jamie, when he has his dream down in the when he had on the werewood stump, and he's dreaming of the of all the King's Guard and all the people that he's wronged, and they're all down there with, Cersei has the torch and Tywin and all of that. It's in A Storm of Swords. That's the book I've been reading lately. I always pick up Game of Thrones and read some at night, and I'm like, I don't know through what reread, but I'm in Storm of Swords right now. So anyway, back to the story.
I think it's page 95.
Yeah. We see, I talked about all of those, the guys coming in. Maker's, the most fearsome black curved dragon teeth ran across his shoulders, the crest of his helmet and down his back, and the huge spiked mace strapped to his saddle was as deadly looking a weapon as any Dunk had ever seen. Arian has a morning star too. What's the difference between a mace and a spiked mace and a morning star?
The morning star is like the swinging one.
Okay.
And a mace is more like a blunt,
like a hammer,
like hammer. But that's how I envision them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Morning star is a chain. Thank you, AU. Yeah.
Okay. And he also came up with Daron's 18 to 19 years old. So he's a young drunk.
One of our little dictionaries, encyclopedias over here. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then we're still only at 6 people.
Yes. And
6 for 6. Can it be done? Dun, dun,
dun. So yes, it was true. 3 black knights and 3 white. They are a man short as well. Was it possible that Arion had not been able to find a 7th man? What would that mean? Would they fight 6 against 6 if neither found a 7th?
That's not going to happen. It has to be 7 against 7.
But this is what, Dunk's inner monologue. He's trying to put it all together because he's just none the wiser. And then Stefan finally comes up. Raymond's already got Stefan's horse and armor all ready to go, and Stefan comes up, and they're like, "Yeah, right."
Yeah, he wants his mail from Raymond. He's in a padded doublet to wear beneath his steel. So I don't. Then Duncan asks Sir Stefan, "What of your friends? We need another knight to make 7. And Stefan, the shithead, "You need 2, I fear." As Raymond is helping him get ready, and he's like, "What do you mean 2, Duncan?" And Stefan picks up a gauntlet. He says, "I see 5 here: Beesbury, Riesling, Harding, Baratheon, and yourself." And Dunk says, "And you're the 6th." And he says, "Nope, I'm the 7th." And he's smiling when he says it. But for the other side, I fight with Prince Arion and the accusers. And then Raymond's like about to hand him his helm and decides, no, like he's been hit by Stefan, like it's a shock to him.
These are some of my favorite lines. Hold on, Carrie.
Go ahead.
This is some of my favorite lines. I do have I have run my margin notes. What a double cross, because it's like, no, I'm the 7th. What? Like you can just see everybody, like anybody who was around probably rubbernecked it right there. Just like, what? Are you kidding me? And then he's like, and then he's like, Sir Duncan understands. I have a duty to my prince, and duty. He said duty, but because I'm so juvenile. Yeah, that's one of my favorite jokes. But anyways, that wasn't what I was going to say. But I love the part that Raymond, he gets really mad, the little apple, right? To the big apple. He says, bring me my horse. And he says, get it yourself, angrily. If you think I wish to be any part of this, you're as thick as you are vile. I'm like, woo, that is some words. Those are fighting words. And he's like, vile? Guard your tongue, Raymond. We're both apples from the same tree. And you're my squire, or have you forgotten your vows? And then he's like, no, have you forgotten yours? You swore to be a knight. And then
Hey,
he's basically like, yeah, but now I'm a lord. So,
did we miss the part
basically.
when Daron says too bad Arian's not an apple? Because if he was, then we'd have a lot less trouble. Instead of him being a dragon, him being an apple.
Oh,
I'm not sure if we missed that part or not.
We did. I don't remember where it was.
we might. I don't.
Yeah,
We might have missed it.
probably when they're talking.
But I
about
just
the
have
green.
then. I feel bad for Raymond, and then basically the Big Apple sold out for a lordship.
Yep.
And he's kind of pretty matter of fact about it, and he doesn't really care. So, so then he stood up and he left. And I like the sound of that. He said, I shall be more than a night before this day is done. Lord Fossaway. I like the sound of that. And through the other defenders, though the other defenders at him with contemptuous eyes, no one made a move to stop him. So they were all hating on him, but wasn't anything they could do. So they just watched him walk out. That's when Little Apple says, "Knight me!" So he wants to be a knight. And then the trumpet sound, and whenever you hear trumpets, you know that's important. So it's like, oh crap, it's time for the games, right? So Raymond's like, "Knight me, knight me." He's just a puppy dog to me, like and he's like, and Duncan's all like nervous, and so he's like, I don't know if I should do this. He's like, "What? You don't think I have courage? Come on, and he's like, "Well, no, it's not that." And it's just like, we know that Dunk isn't really a knight. So I think that's why he's having a hard time.
And I think, Carrie,
like
you had
Lori
pointed out too,
earlier,
or was it Tony, that like maybe he doesn't even know the words, even if he would have faked it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I did talk about that earlier.
Right. So,
Amanda, that is the origins of the split of House Fossaway. We just
that's a cool thing. Poor little history
mention
it. Wait, hold on, because that's when they talk about it. Like,
we get to they talk about the green apple exactly in like a page or two, I think, really soon.
Right. So then Dunk he has to go because he has to go see to something. So luckily the laughing knight says it's okay, I'll knight him. So
Saved by the Bell.
So he does, and Dunk's like, yeah, saved by a laugh. A laughing knight. So then Dunk's secret, his secret was still safe. He didn't have to like be totally called out. So then I don't have.
You're breaking up.
Any more notes? Holy. So that, oops, I'm breaking up again. Oh, well, go ahead, take it away, Care.
All right. Well, he's got to go see Lord Ashford before he's. Did y'all mention that? I was typing in the chat. I'm so sorry if I'm repeating.
No, you're right on point, I think.
Okay, so Baratheon's going to knight Squire Raymond, and he begins saying the words, and Lord Ashford wants to see Duncan because he still only sees 6 against 7. And let's see, where will I find another man? And it says you would seem you only have 5 champions. And he explains that Lionel is knighting Raymond Fossaway. We will fight you 6 against 7. But Lord Ashford says, no, that's not permitted. If you cannot find another knight to take your side, you must be declared guilty of the crimes of which you stand accused. Guilty of losing a tooth. And for that, I must die. And he asks Lord Ashford for a moment, and he says, you have it. And Dunk's riding back and forth up across the fence, talking to the different lords that are like looking away and, whatever they can do to like act like they're not even, Duncan isn't even there. And
bad connection. What?
Really?
No. No, that's like what the guys in this, what the knights in the stands were like. What? No, sorry, I can't hear you, Dunk. And sorry, bad joke.
No, that was me.
No,
sorry, I've had a bad week.
I'm like rolling with my dad jokes today, though. So,
like butter.
love that.
Yeah, like all the dudes in there, he's already tried to talk to, and a night.
Yeah, it's all the people that he mentioned earlier, basically, that he looks up to so much, like all these knights and these names, and none of them are coming to step up for him, and they're just not who they thought he was. Who, again, the whole theme of like what makes a knight.
Yes. A knight defends the innocent. That's all I did. I need one more knight to fight beside me. That's all. And he tries a couple other people, and then despair makes him shout, "Are there no true knights among you?" And he gets silence except for Arian going, "Ha ha ha ha, the dragon isn't mocked." Then comes a voice that says, "I will take Sir Duncan's side." And here comes somebody that looks like Valor, like same horse, same armor, same everything. And Lord Ashford makes the same mistake of thinking that this is Prince Valor. And the Black Knight lifts the visor of his helm. "Sorry, I didn't think to enter the lists. I brought no armor, but my son was good enough to lend me his." And he smiles almost sadly, because this is something he doesn't really want to do. I don't think he's ever, had any animosity towards Maker or his sons, but he knows that Maker is trying to be as good as Baylor, or prove that his sons are good kids, in all those kind of ways. And Maker's like, "Have you taken leave of your senses? This man attacked my son, even though your son's a twerp." And Baylor says, "This man protected the weak, as every true knight must. Let the gods determine if he is right or wrong." And so then he trots down to the south end of the field, where the challengers, or the accused are, defenders. And we have some praying. Do we get through that yet? This is the part where Raymond changes his
he comes out with the green apple. And it says, "Better green than wormy."
Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that Baylor came, like, this is a big deal.
Well, and hold on, wait.
Go ahead.
Wait. One second, because then the brother Maker, like, because all of a sudden, so he's like, "Are there?" All right, that's probably going to be my sentence of the thing. "Are there no true none among you?" Like, I could just see, and like crickets, and then all of a sudden, Baylor comes out. He's just like, where then he says, "No," and then he's like, "But this guy, attacked my sons." Like, he's just like, "He attacked my son. Like, you're my brother, and he attacked." But then this Baylor says, "This man protected the weak, as every true knight must. Let the gods determine if he was right or wrong." And it's just like, oh, like that just has such an ominous feeling. It's just like, oh, and I have a picture to show you of this conversation. And then I put folks in my side comments, because it is like, oh, brothers. So there they are.
Yep. Dragons.
Yeah, that whole scene with Baylor riding out is so great. It's so, I'm sure every single person who reads it, you can just picture it on TV, like, it's a big deal. Baylor is easy to love, easy to respect. He's coming out and he's like,
"Yep,
I gotta do it. I gotta do it." And he's wearing his son's armor. It's just,
yeah. And Miss Duncan, Baylor dying is the reason I went to exile to support Bitter Steel.
Okay. So yeah, Baylor, we just love Baylor so much, but this also, like, from just like the crowd's perspective, became a much, much bigger deal than it already was.
Yes.
Because it was like a bunch of like nobodies, really. Not nobodies, but it wasn't, you got like,
well, yeah, they were
the left, it's not nobodies, but
This
There's
is
more
the heir to the
Targaryens in
throne.
the ring. I should just put it that way. On both sides.
And this is, yeah. But this is the heir. This is the heir apparent. Like when the king dies,
and the hand of the king.
He's supposed to be king.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the
nobody
hand of the
wanted
king,
to stand
right?
up
So it's
against
like
Arion, but Baylor does. And now everyone who was like no true knight in the stands is like feeling some, they better be feeling some shame.
Yeah, really.
Shame.
And so Baylor, now he's like Coach Baylor, so let's huddle up and we're going to like come up with our strategy.
Notice the size of their lances.
Yes.
I don't know if you'll be able to tell.
Yeah, well, you can I can looking at the book, but yeah, on that side you're showing, they're much longer because they're going to use the 12-foot tourney lances, and then the accusers are using the 8-foot one with the war lances, 8 feet long, made of ash with sharpened steel points on them. So Baylor's idea is like if we use the 12-foot lance, that'll give us 4 extra feet. He doesn't say that specifically to hit them and knock them off their horse. And if we can, hit them right and stay in our seat, then we could maybe get the advantage on them. And so let me get back.
And I love it. Then Sir Lionel Baratheon says, "Is that chivalrous?"
Yeah.
Well, the gods will decide.
Yeah.
The gods will know. Don't worry about it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. He tells them to aim for the helm or the chest. And tourney, it's a gallant thing to break your lance against a foe's shield, but here it may well mean death. So let's try to unhorse them, stay in our saddles, and we'll have the advantage. If Sir Duncan is killed, it is considered that the gods have judged him guilty, and the contest is over. If both of his accusers are slain or withdraw their accusations, the same is true. Elsewise, all 7 of one side or the other must perish or yield for the trial to end. And then Dunk throws in, Prince Daeron will not fight, and Lionel says, well, not well anyway. And then they have the 3 white swords to contend with, and Baylor's like, well, you guys hold everybody off of me while I deal with the King's Guard, because Maekar made a big boo-boo having them fight because they can't strike me. They can't strike anyone that's the blood of the dragon or a member of the royal family. So, yes, Amanda, it does speak volumes. Maker's out to win. Maker is out to whether it's chivalrous or not. So now we have a deep, expectant silence, and they're only 80 yards away. Like, I don't know how much y'all watch football or whatever. I love football, but that's a pretty I'm sorry, I just read something Miss Duncan said. Baylor's Keanu Reeves.
I know, she's cracking me up.
No, thank you. Anyway.
Baylor is, you're breathing. You're breathing.
So 80 yards away, I mean, like, Aryan stallions, he's trumpeting with impatience and pawing at the ground, and Thunder's very still. He's a veteran of this stuff, and he knows what's expected of him. And Egg hands Dunk his shield, and when he sees the sight of his elm tree and shooting star, it gives him heart. He gets it on, tightens his fingers, says the old rhyme again, oak and iron guard me well, or else I'm dead and doomed to hell. Steely Pate brings his lance, but Egg insists that it be he who puts it in Dunk's hand, which I can just imagine that little 8-year-old kid holding a 12-foot lance. That's whether.
Oh, well, Monique,
Robbie, hold on. Yeah, one thing Robbie said real quick. Wait, that's confusing. So either he is killed or the accusers are killed and found guilty either way. No. It's so there's we'll just for clarity's sake say the good guys versus guys. So even though the gods are going to decide, all right, so but we're rooting for Dunk, so that's our good guys team. So either if he gets killed, then it's over, and if all 6 of his champions are still alive, nothing happens to them because they were just fighting for Dunk. It was obviously he was guilty. He's dead.
They have to yield.
Like, well, right. Yeah, Dunk could yield. He's going to be dead anyways. Dunk has to fight to the death. If Dunk got the bad guys to say yield, or if he killed Arian, then the fight would be over as well. Like, or like if he got him to yield and withdraw his accusation, and then, or if he killed him, then the fight would be over as well. None of the rest of they wouldn't have to keep fighting, because even though he brought his brother to this, I think David would retract as soon as anybody asked him to. So he's not really fighting this. He's doing it because he was brought in as a 7 to this. So if anybody retracts their accusation, which is just Arian, then the fight would be over. Or if they kill Arian, the fight is over as well. And if they kill Dunk, the fight is over as well. But if those guys are the last 2 guys standing, they fight to the death, unless Arian yields. But the rest of the guys are just kind of like the backup until Dunk falls, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they would help him fight until he falls. I mean, that's kind of, if that helps clear it up. I don't know, or if that just made it muddier. I don't know,
are
Robbie.
killed, then Dunk is innocent.
Yes.
Right.
And
because the gods deemed
so it's
accusers
like
false.
high tension.
And Dunk, with his visor on, he can see, his companions. They're spread out in a long line, Prince Baylor to his right and Sir Lionel to his left. But the narrow eye slit of the great helm limited his vision to what was directly in front of him. He can't see the viewing stand or the small folk. All he can see is the muddy field, the mist, the river town and the castle, and Arian on his gray charger and the flames on his helm, dragon on his shield, and Dunk knows he's coming for him. And after the horn sounds for a heartbeat, Dunk sits.
Wait, he does right there though. He does have this thought. He will put that through my heart if he can.
Oh yes. Which he tries. He almost gets there. So Dunk sits as still as a fly in amber, like he's forgotten. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna shame myself. I'm gonna lose everything. But Thunder saves him.
Love Thunder.
Yeah, yay, Thunder. He knows exactly what to do, even if the rider does not. He does break into a slow trot. Then Dunk's training takes over. He gave him a light touch of his spur, and he couched his lance, and then he swings his shield to cover most of the left side of his body. We have the oak and iron guard me well, or that's some dead and doomed to hell again. The noise of the crowd was no more than the crash of distant waves. This is all, I mean, just imagine all this armor and weight on you, and you're facing death head on, and it's coming fast. And Dunk's teeth are jarred together with the violence of the pace, because of course he's riding him as fast as he can. They're all riding him like as fast as they can. And yeah, tunnel vision, that's exactly right, Miss Duncan. And he starts thinking, I am Thunder, and Thunder is me. We are one beast. We are joined. We are one. And then it talks about, like, if it was a tournament jousting, the adversary would be on your left, so you know which way to couch your lance. But this is head-on stuff, like, straight on. There is no barrier. There is no left side, right side. And they are charging straight at one another. And even though Baylor's black horse is faster than Thunder, and Dunk seems him pounding ahead, he sensed more than saw the others. They don't matter. Only Arian matters. Only him. And he watches the dragon come. So that's, when I said at the beginning, dragons. And Arian definitely, well, let's see, Dunk, hold on just a second. He's wondering why Arian's got his lance angled upward. because a knight who holds his lance high and brings it in online at the last moment risks lowering it too far. Dunk brings his own point to bear on the center of the princeling's chest. My lance is part of my arm. It's my finger, a wooden finger. All I need to do is touch him with my long wooden finger. And Moni, you can show the picture if you want to, because it's just like, this is what Duncan sees, and it's dragons. She kind of paused there for a second.
Oh.
That's her long wooden finger.
He tries not to see the sharp end of Arian's lance. And he tells himself, dragon, look at the dragon. But that changes his focus to the shield instead of Arian's chest, which is a huge mistake, because Arian, he hits his shield instead of taking him in the body somewhere. So that didn't do anything to Arian. Not at all. But Arian, there's a muffled crack, thunder.
Just slides off.
With the force of the impact. Well, yeah, he loses the lance. He tries to correct it, but he's too late, and that's when he strikes Arian's shield, taking the dragon between two of its heads. So the horses slam into each other violently, armor crashing, and thunder stumbles, and Dunk's lance falls from his hand. And once he's past Arian, clutching his saddle, a desperate effort to keep his seat. And that's when Thunder kind of lurches in the mud, and he feels his rear legs slip out from under. They're sliding, spinning, and then Thunder's hindquarters slap down hard, and he's saying, up, up. That's what Dunk is saying. Up, roaring, lashing out with his spurs. Up, Thunder. And somehow good old Thunder found his feet again. And it's back to the fighting. I don't know if somebody else wants to take.
Man, hold on 1 second, because at this point in the book, my heart's racing. I'm like, oh my gosh, his noble steed is about to crash in the mud and crush our hero. What's gonna happen? I hear like the battle music, the Star Trek, and it's like nice, up, up, up. It's like, and that old horse gets up again, so hooray! But it's not over yet, because then our hero, remember, he just has this tiny little slot that he's seeing the world through. So he's, so go ahead. What's next? I'm like, like I said, I'm reading this and just like my heart racing. Just which
he like immediately
George R. R.
fails.
Writer.
You're all worked up. He's working himself up, and then he just immediately fails, and then keeps failing. You're like, oh no! You like forget he's never actually done this before.
Mm-hmm. He never had.
Thank God he's big. Thank God he's big, because he would have been dead, I think.
Oh yes, for sure. I mean, Arian gets him that first charge.
He gets him in the ribs and breaks his shield. Rams his horse into him, knocking him down, and then hits him in the head with the Morning Star. And Dunk says, "He broke my head, and I'm dying."
Yes.
And then he starts having his inner monologue about how he's letting everybody down.
Yeah,
all the people that are fighting for him.
Around in a circle, trying to get a sense of what's happening elsewhere. Humphrey Harding's clinging to his horse, obviously wounded. The other Humphrey Beesbury is laying in a lake of bloodstained mud. Baylor, his lance is still intact to drive one of the Kingsguard from the saddle. Another of the White Knights was already down, and Maker had been unhorsed. 3 of the Kingsguard. The third one of the Kingsguard is fighting Robin Riesling, and all Dunk is where is Arian, because he knows that ending Arian is going to end like anyone else getting hurt or killed. But Arian's already on him, and there's no hope of recovering like in time for this. And he loses his long sword. He gets knocked off Thunder onto the ground, and it jars into the bone and knocks the breath out of him. After this charge, and Dunk the Lunk thought he could be a knight. He knows he's got to find his feet again or he's going to die. He forces himself to his hands and knees. He can't breathe. He's got mud all in his eye slit of his helm. So he's just kind of lurching around like blindly. And he's trying to get the mud out of the visor slit. And
with his chunky metal hand. He doesn't even have a finger.
And through his fingers, and I loved this, he glimpsed a dragon flying and a spiked morning star whirling on the end of the chain. And that's when he bops him, well, more than bops him, bashes
and
him.
Time out 1 second, Carrie. Moni, isn't this where you got that imagery? Thinking back to like the season 8 still of Daenerys with the wings. Was this the spot?
Yes, where it was just like, yeah, well, just like
the way
that
it's
was
written,
when,
like the imagery you get.
Right. It's like, and there was the dragon. Because remember, like this is all he could see. I mean, that is like, so even if he turns his head within there, even though I think it's crushed, like because he got it dented, but he can't see. So so he's looking through, and then it's dragon. So that means his chest is right above him, like, and basically, crap. And then all I could think while you guys were just going over this is him getting whacked in the head with a morning star, and then totally cartoon, like these lights above my head, like like the birds and the stars going around his head. He must have been dying. Yeah, you know what I mean? Just dying right now. Just like, not did he just break my head, but holy crap. And so then he's about to get it again. He gets engulfed by the dragon, and he's about to get it, right?
They're bringing up some really good points with Loras, and Brienne and Loras.
Yes, please.
Yeah, but he finds the strength to grab Arian around his legs and pull him down on top of him, and grabs Arian's shield and just starts
he rolls
bashing and bashing and bashing, and he says he remembered, I am no champion, I'm not even a hedge knight, I'm nothing. He remembered Prince Darren boasting that no one could lie insensible in the mud as well as he did. He never saw Dunk the Lunk, though, did he? And so the shame is worse than the pain. And then that's when he, well, of course, Arian teases him a little bit. You dead yet, hedge knight? Cry for quarter, admit your guilt. Perhaps only claim a hand and a foot. Oh, and those teeth. What are a few teeth? I mean, like you can live on years of peas porridge. And he says, no, eat this. And the thing comes falling as fast as a shooting star. So there's a reference back to the shield. Throws his arm around, drags Arian cursing into the mud, rolled on top of him, let his swing his bloody morning star now. The prince tried to force the lip of his shield up at Dunk's head. But Dunk's helm took the brunt of the impact. Arian was strong, but Dunk is stronger. And so he snatches that shield away from Arian, rips the straps off, and just is banging. And Arian finally lets go of the morning star.
Banging the crest off the helm, just like the Laughing Storm was doing in like the real tourney joust. Remember? Yeah, I love that little throwback to it.
I think he would have busted a lot more. But when he lets go, that's the word poignard that I was going to bring up, and it's just a little knife that you carry on your hip. What's the word? Poignard, Poniard, and it seems like a lot of these armor words are like French, but this is just small, slim dagger, and it did come from the French language, but originally from Latin, from the word pugnus, Pugnus, which means fist in Latin. So I thought that was kind of a cool little
word of the day. You always have a word of the day.
I actually get them in my email.
I love it.
I'm a nerd.
I like it.
Go ahead. What were y'all gonna say?
So, well, I said, woohoo! And that is when he says, yeah, he could vanquish Sir Duncan the Tall, but not Dunk a Flea Bottom. And then he's just wailing him.
Yeah,
and so then
to fight dirty in the shadowy wines and crooked alleys. I never know if that's winds or wines. Wines and crooked alleys behind the city's wineskins in King's Landing. And go ahead, Moni. You can finish this part. We're at Dunk flinging the battered shield.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, he's just pummeling the you-know-what out of him. Well, finally, our prince says, yield. Well, Dunk tells him to. Yield. Otherwise, I'm going to beat the crap out of you.
He's not ready to take
he tells him to, and then he's like,
he wants to take one of his eyes and pop it like a grape.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, where was that?
Which
that
was
107.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, his eyes
it's
were
just
purple.
like his purple eye.
Yes.
That Targaryen eye wants to grab it and pop it like a grape jelly dragon.
Yeah, there you go.
But it doesn't. And so he makes it. So instead, he says, and that reminds me of Oberyn, right? That whole thing, that fight. Somebody else, Fearless Mermaid, I believe, said, yeah, it reminded her a lot of Brienne's fight. Which, you know what? I think I kind of. All right, true confession. I think I kind of skipped through a lot of that because that was brutal. That whole biting of her face and stuff.
Oh no, they were talking about when they're having the before when Renly has been crowned king, but she's fighting for her place in his Rainbow Guard, and she knocks Sir Loren
against Sir Loren,
and instead of and he whispers, "I yield," and has to say it again, just like Aerion does, because he just whispers it until Duncan drags his ass all the way across and makes him brown as a privy.
This is one of my favorite pictures.
I know. I was going to say you got to show this.
I know. And it's a full page.
He drags him all the way over to Lord Ashford and everybody else sitting there and shakes him where mud gets all over everybody. And let's see.
And that's quite a thing to see too. It's not the same story at all, but like in terms of a visual, the movie Troy, when I think it's Brad Pitt's dragging Eric Bana around, and he's just dragging him around, and it's like so to watch it. I just picture the same thing, totally different storyline and everything, and like whatever, but that's the only imagery I can think of that I've actually seen like on film that comes to mind. But that's rough.
Yes.
That's rough watching that happen. Like you could even just, I mean, I just think too, like, if like Maekar being there too, you know, like at this point, Duncan's not thinking about anything like that, but he has all this like tact early with like speaking, and he's like, you don't say things like that to people's sons and things like that. And now here he is just dragging his ass through the mud in front of his father, in front of his brothers, in front of the entire tourney crowd. You know what I mean? It's just like,
Well, he picks him up,
in front of all the guys who were like, bad connection.
He really doesn't
bad connection. What was that? Sorry.
He really doesn't even do that to Aerion until Aerion Turd decides to take a sudden dive for his Morning Star. Before this, Dunk is like looking around and looking at all the injured people, and the Laughing Storm had joined Prince Baelor against Prince Maker. You got battle axes, maces, long swords, clashing and clanging, ringing. Maker was taking 3 blows for everyone he landed, and Dunks could see that it would be over soon, and he thinks, I must make an end to it before more of us are killed. That's when he drags Aerion's ass across the mud and holds him up in the picture like he does. And Aerion spit out a mouthful of grass and dirt. And I withdraw my accusation.
I yield.
And we exhale.
He's such a pussy.
Yeah, he really is.
And we exhale.
And that is where
end scene.
Then Dunk is just.
So yeah, now we're in the tending of the wounds section of our story.
Oh wow, yeah, this is a really sad
Oh.
part. And
Okay, yeah. So
dream.
the tending of the wounds section. So as they're tending Duncan's wounds, Raymond recaps the fight.
Prepare yourself.
And yeah, so Raymond recaps the fight. If I got this right, at this point, Humphrey Harding is pretty injured but alive.
Yes.
Humphrey, I want to say beeswax all the time.
Beesbury.
Humphrey Beesbury is dead. And that's it, right? At this point?
Yeah, there's some injured Kingsguard dudes, but
yeah, but they all seem to like they'll recover.
Right. And
yeah, and they recount the fight and like and then
they ask is,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Me?
You had started, I think.
Oh yeah, so I just kind of wanted to ask you guys if you happen to try and keep track of the fight and like who was fighting who, and like I don't think we really get a full idea of who was fighting who. Because this is a reread, I was looking back to see like if it mattered who was fighting who, but I guess does anyone in the chat have anything to say about that?
Since we had
they don't say specifically how they charge at each other. Some things happen like a little later.
Yeah. Since we were covering so much material, I kind of swept through all the details of the other people fighting besides, our main guys, Maker, Arion,
our hero,
Dunk, our hero, and Baylor, our hero. And so when they're retelling him, Dunk wants to know about Prince Daron. Did he survive? And he says once Sir Robin unhorsed him, he lay where he fell. He may have a broken foot because his own horse ran over him while running loose around the field. Poor Darren. Poor guy just can't catch a break.
I enjoy reading everything about him, though.
But you still don't feel that sorry for him. It's just like,
So everybody makes him lie down on his back, and they notice that he has the horrible wound where the lance went through oak and steel and the hauberk and everything. And it's going to mortify. And somebody says, get him drunk and pour boiling oil onto it. That's how the maesters do it, which that's just going to burn the shit out of somebody if you pour hot oil. Like I remember reading about some lady in Jamaica, like, oh God, it's Rose Hall, but she would pour like she murdered one of her husbands by pouring hot oil in his ear while he was asleep. So yeah, that's
oh my gosh, that's
that was only one husband that she murdered, but anyway. But go ahead. Yeah, that's right in the brain, but yeah. Anyway,
so Dunk is also.
So they're going to, and then all of a sudden, this wine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, huh? Everybody turns around, and that's like, in the voice, hollow metallic ring to it, not oil. Oil will kill him. I'll send my maester, Yormswell, to have a look at him when he's done tending my brother. And then a knight stood above him. Like, obviously, if it's a maester and his brother, it has to be our beloved prince. Your grace, Dunk says. I'm your man. Please, I'm your man. He says, my man. And then he had to grab Raymond's shoulder to steady himself. I need good men, Sir Duncan. The realm. He's like, Dunk says again, your man, your man. And then he grabs Sir Raymond, help. If you'd be so kind, help with my visor. It's cracked and my fingers feel like wood. Oh, God.
Wooden fingers again.
So, at once, your grace, Raymond says. And he goes over there and he can't do it. And he's like, good man, a hand. And so Pate comes over to help him. And he crushed down your back, your grace, toward the left side, smashed into the gorget. Good steel, this, to stop such a blow. Yeah. Brother's mace, most likely. He said, he's strong, he wins. And that feels queer. And then here it comes. And he totally lifts it. Good God. God's prison. And go ahead. Anybody else want to take it away? Because we know what happens next.
Gods be good.
They ripped off his thing.
Someone screams high and terrible, talks about the bleak gray sky, and a tall prince in black armor with only half a skull. He could see red blood and pale bone beneath something else, something blue-gray and pulpy. A queer, troubled look passed across Baylor Breakspear's face, like a cloud passing before the sun. He raised his hand and touched the back of his head with 2 fingers, oh so lightly, and then he fell. And Dunk catches him, and he's told later that he
and our hero
up, like he did with thunder, but he never remembered that afterward, and the prince never did rise. He never did get up. So now we have Prince Baelor of House Targaryen, Prince of Dragonstone, Hand of the King, Protector of the Realm, and heir apparent to the Iron Throne of the Seven Kings.
You can see in this little picture,
went into the fire in the yard of Ashford Castle. Yes.
And you can see in the picture where the dragons are leaving him.
Oh, yeah, sure is. Oh, wow.
And where Dunk's holding him and the dragons, the spirit of the dragons are.
You know.
At first I thought it was a tree, but it's not.
That's a good.
Those are the dragons leaving him.
The Targaryens are the blood of the dragon, and their ends are writ in flame. So some people are upset that Baelor's not dressed in his armor and plate and all of the mail and all of that stuff, but his father from far away decides that that's not necessary.
Can we just mention that this is Darian's dream come true finally?
Yes.
Yeah, because even prior to this, like Dunk was thinking like, oh, Aerion didn't die, so Darian's dream good. Yeah. Nothing happened, but here we go. Yeah, that's
and because Darren described the dragon as so big, it makes more sense for it to be Baelor than it does to be Aerion. Because
and all this too, like before you move forward into the next scene too, remember we were talking about the wine. This would really be the time where the amount of times they mention wine in this book, I couldn't tell you how many times they do it in A Song of Ice and Fire, but like it's only like the higher ups that drink the wine and the lessers that drink the ale. But rereading it and then rereading it, I'm just like, it's just wine. Like spotted in certain places, like with Baelor and with the Fossaways, and that's really it, you know what I mean? But I just kept thinking like wine. And then also when Dunk got hit in the head with Aerion, he's like, he broke my head and now I'm dying, but it's Baelor, same exact way. And then also like think back to when they were describing Makar's mace when he was like coming in, and it's like a deadliest weapon he's ever seen, and that's what killed him.
Yes.
And I had one more. The left dent. All right, so Dunk got hit in the left side of the head during this whole Aerion thing. I should have brought this up earlier. And then I like went back to the beginning. As soon as I finished, I went back to the beginning and read the first 20 pages. And Sir Arlen's helm, his original helm that he got from Sir Arlen, had a dent in the left temple. And that's where Dunk got hit in the head anyway.
George and his wordplay.
And his Celtic knots. So good.
Yes.
So good. Okay, sorry.
That was mint.
We can
Glory that you caught that.
The little part, Valor has stood at the foot of the bier while his father lay in state. He looks like him. He's shorter, slimmer, more handsome, without the broken nose. His hair's brown, but a bright streak runs through it of silver gold. And my husband has that. It's from a birthmark, though, but it's on the back of his head. And he has a big white, a red birthmark, but a bunch of white hair. And if he grows it out, he has one of those things. But anyway, Valor, you know, he's so full
So
of
does
grit.
Anna from Frozen.
Oh
Just
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
Yeah, but that was because she got zapped.
The sight of it,
By magic.
the sight of it, the sight of the streak reminds Dunk of Arian, but he knows that's not fair because Egg's hair is growing back as bright as his brother's, and Egg was a decent lad, a decent enough lad for a prince. Excuse me. So he stops by to try to offer sympathies to Valor. He's like, "My father was going to be a great king. Why would the gods take him and leave you?" And Sir Duncan doesn't even know the answer to that question. The boiling wine and maesters had done their work. Wound was healing very cleanly. He's going to have a deep scar, and that's always going to make him think of Baelor whenever he looks at it. And this was something that Lori pointed out. He saved me once with his sword and once with a word, even though he was a dead man as he stood there. And Lori brought up, like, what is that? What word? And when I was reading it, I thought that he said my man, but Lori's, I think you got it, Lori, that the word is wine. For sure. The world made no sense when a great.
Well, yeah, well, that's why I was curious what you guys thought about it. Because I don't know.
Right. I mean, but that was with a word and yeah, all it was the word of wine instead of oil, because if it would have been oil, he would have been dead. So
Yes.
that was one word. It's so sad. It's so sad. And I don't blame Valor. Like, I mean, he's got to be tripping out right now. Like his dad is dead because of this hedge knight. Like, and but it wasn't in a way it was because of him, but his dad was being a true knight. And he stepped up to defend,
and
I guess, the guy with less odds. Like, you know, so it wasn't.
It's so nice reading a story like this that you would think is like such an easy read, but then the more you keep going through it, the more things keep popping up and Easter eggs and things lining up and coming together. So for the very end of this story, I can't believe we're at the end. Prince Maker comes and well, someone says our prince begs the favor of a private word. Dunk's like, which freaking prince now? So
No.
So Maker talks to him and says he sent Arion to lease. A few years in the Free Cities may change him for the better. Not going to happen. I read a little bit. Oh, that's a good thought, Amanda. Baylor thought of someone else even though he was dying. That's exactly right.
Love him.
Yeah, because I was reading a little bit about when he does drink the wildfire, because he wants to be the dragon reborn. So Arian, he's kind of a hopeless cause. Hate to say it, but he was glad. Dunk's glad Arian's gone and hopes he never comes back. But that's not a kind of thing you can say to a father about his son. Maker says some men will say I meant to kill my brother. The gods know it is a lie, but I will hear the whispers till the day I die. So this whole thing ended up turning out bad for Maker and for Dunk too. It was my mace that dealt the fatal blow. I have no doubt. The only other foes faced in the melee were the three King's Guard, and they couldn't do anything to Prince Baelor. Strange to say, I do not recall the blow that broke his skull. Is that mercy or a curse? Some of both, I think. And Dunk thinks, he wants an answer, but he doesn't have one. Perhaps he should hate Maker, but instead he feels a sympathy for the man. You swung the mace, my lord, but it was for me Prince Baelor died, so I killed him too as much as you. Yes, Maker admits, you'll hear them whisper that as well. When the king is old and dies and valor climbs onto the throne, each time a battle's lost or a crop fails or whatever, it's going to be
One of
Duncan,
our faults.
the head knight's fault. Right. So he's going to be hearing those whispers as well. And Dunk could see the truth in that. But if I had not fought, you would have had my hand off and my foot. Sometimes I sit under that tree there and look at my feet and ask if I couldn't have spared one. How could my foot be worth a prince's life? And the two Humphreys as well. And he asks what answer the tree gives. What answer does the tree give you? And he says none that he can hear, but Sir Arlen used to say, every day I wonder what the morrow will bring. And well, mightn't it be that some morrow will come when I'll have need of that foot, when the realm will have need of that foot even more than a prince's life. And in Deep Geek, I cannot name the video off the top of my head, has the series about Bloodraven. And there is a part where he talks about this and the possibility of that foot. Once we get that far, George spits it out that his foot is somehow used to save people's lives at Summerhall when all of that happens, when the tragedy happens. So
That's a really good. It's a really well thought out theory, I think, too. I saw it. I've never posted a link. I don't know how to do it, otherwise I would.
Oh, it's pretty easy.
I'm pretty sure everyone here knows how to get to In Deep Geek's channel.
Yeah. I mean, I can do it if y'all want to take over the end real quick. Or take over some of the end.
Well, oh, yeah, so this is basically where he offers him egg, but he says, Dunk is basically deciding if he wants to go to Summerhall so Egg can squire him and he can also be trained there, which sounds like a really stinking good offer. I mean, that's a really good offer. But, I mean, considering everything that's just happened too, and he would still get that, I would just think like, they're going to kill me. But he doesn't even think that. He just thinks of like, I told Baylor that I was his man, and he said the realm needed good men. So I will take Egg, but it will have to be on the road for like a year or two, right?
Yes. And we're going to be sleeping in, Maker's like, oh my God, my son can't sleep in ditches. My son can't eat I can't say it, hard salt beef. And,
you did it.
And no, I didn't. I said hauled instead of hard.
Wow.
He says, about Summerhall and how it would be good for, okay. And then the part about he looks at the green grass, which makes me think of Dunk being as green as grass. And, the dragonfly moving across the water, or perhaps it was the same one. What shall it be, Dunk? Dragonflies or dragons? Just a few days ago, he would have answered it once. It was all he had ever dreamed. But now that the prospect was at hand, it frightened him. Yeah, he wants the dragonflies. He wants the freedom. He doesn't want to be around any more dragons for a while.
No.
And he says, I'll take Egg Esquire, but not at Summerhall. He's seen sufficient of castles, I would judge. I'll take him if I can have him on the road with me. And Prince Maker was like, did the trial addle your wits? He's a prince of the realm, the blood of the dragon. Princes are not made for sleeping in ditches and eating hard salt. And Duncan says this great little couple of lines. Daron never slept in a ditch, I'll wager, and didn't say, but look how he turned out. And all the beef that Arion ever ate was thick and rare and bloody, like as not. So maybe if those guys had to eat some hard beef and sleep in the ditch,
maybe they'll turn out a little better. Maybe they'll turn out a little better than these guys.
Yeah, exactly. And at that, Maker just walks off. Because he knows that he's right. And so the next morning, Dunk comes, and I do that every freaking time. Egg comes, and he's in brown breeches, wool tunic, and old traveler's cloak. And my father says, "I'm here to serve you." So he says, "Go ahead and start saddling the horses. Chestnut is yours. Treat her kindly. I don't want to find you on Thunder unless I put you there." Egg asks where they're going, and Dunk says, "I have never been over the mountains. Would you like to have a look at Dorne?" And Egg grins, "I hear they have good puppet shows." So, yes. The end.
Are these guys really just huge puppet freaks?
So, overall,
I don't know.
Oh my God.
I have so many thoughts as the overall. It's hard to put it in.
Including thoughts.
Yeah, put it into words. I just really enjoyed the whole trope of the fantasy and the tournaments, and you have the powerful people against the hedge knight and the common people, and that the happenstance at meeting Egg, like, that's a huge thing for this story, for the changes and for everything that comes about. And also a lot of the delving into the politics of the dragon, which the Targaryens, which is not so much in A Song of Ice and Fire. I know it came out in A World of Ice and Fire and Blood, but that's some of the stuff I've learned, because this is only my second time reading this, so it's pretty much brand new for me too. And my favorite quote, because we were trying to come up with a favorite quote, was "Sweet lady" from Florian the Fool.
Well, because I have this idea about if you could make a t-shirt, say. So yeah. I asked the girls, and if you guys have any ideas from the story, I'd like to hear them. So I had this idea before, like, I'm a huge t-shirt person. So go ahead, Carrie. What's your favorite?
Mine was what Florian the Fool says to Jonquil: "Sweet lady, all men are fools and all men are knights where women are concerned." That was one of my favorite ones.
So if I could make a t-shirt and have one line on it for this book, yeah, that is a really good one, Carrie. If I could have one line to summarize this book, it is the innkeeper lady at the beginning, and she says, "I never knew a joust to change the price of eggs."
That's a great one.
Period.
Yes.
That's a good one. That's a great one.
And what's yours?
And mine is, I think, "Are there no true knights among us?" Like that. Or, among you. However, but yeah, I see
the Mel Gibson mullet at this point in time. But yeah, I've had such a blast going through these.
Hold on, there's some. You want to take it to the chat for a second?
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have some thoughts too.
All right.
"Thick as a castle wall," another great one. Thank you, Duncan The Tall.
Chad, if you could make a t-shirt with one line on it to summarize the Hedge Knight, or your favorite quote from the Hedge Knight, put it in the chat. We'll say it.
I do
absolutely
want to say that next week we're having a special guest, and it's going to be Miss Duncan The Tall. Yes,
I'm excited.
So y'all can think of your t-shirt ideas and put them
we begin next week.
Yeah, the sworn sword. I don't
know if this is when I think it is.
Well, I kind of read a little bit of the beginning, and it mentions the red grass field, so we're gonna get more into Blacks and the rebellions and Bloodraven and the hatred for Bloodraven that comes about and all that kind of stuff. How about the quote, "Everything leads back to Bloodraven," or whatever it is in Deep Geek says. I can't remember the quote that he says. So
to Summerhall.
It's more about Blood Raven than Summer
Yeah,
Home
it's yeah.
specifically. But yeah, Moni, you need to watch this vids.
Okay.
For sure. So thanks This Man Protected the Week.
Oh, no, I'll see that one.
Your Night Must. That's a good one, Amanda. Very good one.
Thank you. Yes.
And yeah, there's a ton
also,
of other,
are we
like,
going to another 25 pages in that story? Well, to begin next week, just 25 pages in, right?
I haven't
the story?
looked through it, but I will let everybody. I'll let everybody know.
All right.
Where a good stopping point is. I don't want to take you guys too long, over 2 hours or anything, because I know it gets kind of bleh. But yeah, come back next week.
Well, thank you guys for spending this time with us.
So much.
So awesome.
So much.
I just want to come on here and have fun and chill out and talk about Game of Thrones and meet some great new friends and have some great guests and have my great co-hosts, Moni G and Lori.
And Carrie, you're the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
She put all this together.
Putting up with me this week with all of my craziness. I haven't been able to receive a phone call since like Saturday because my beagle took a chomp out of my phone. But I have a new one. I just got to get it set up. So everything's on the good.
Not a new dog.
Yeah. Anybody want a 3.5-year-old beagle? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
He's gorgeous. He's absolutely gorgeous.
Oh,
she was bragging on him just the night before this and happened. He's a beautiful beagle. He's a beagle. That's all I'm gonna say. Snoopy's a beagle, but he's a beagle.
Oh, thank you, Miss Duncan.
I love beagles, even though they're
he's a pretty beagle. A lot of them are kind of.
And thank you guys.
But thank you everyone so much. And Harry Lloyd, I always loved. I mean, I was a huge fan of him in the Game of Thrones show, and I really like his voice. So I'd love to get the Audible book sometime. I have the first 2 graphic novels, but that's it. So if you won't what did Amanda say? Laugh my ass off. You won't give Charlie up. No, I won't. I'll put up with him this long. So anyway, thank you everyone, and y'all have a great rest of the week, and we will see you back same time, same day with Miss Duncan. She's talking.
Tuesday, 8/7 Central.
Yes. All right. I didn't know. This is for you, Steele. Those inner monologues.
Oh no, yeah, she was talking about the Audible again.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Stay safe.
You guys are the best. Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Rock on,
All right. And
we're off. Or should I put my lamp? I'm waiting.
You're done.
We need a theme song.
Cool.
It's still counting.
It's over.
I know mine still says it's going to.
Well, I'll try again, but it has said it ended the broadcast.
It's like I have a theme song in my head.